recording on Zoom, and it looks like YouTube as well, correct? You can leave Elaine in the waiting room. Okay? No. Oh, that's. I think we have all the players now. Tony, can we start? Tony? Okay, okay. Yep. Okay. Doesn't matter. Okay. All right, we're ready to go. Okay, when Madam Mayor is ready, we're ready to go.
Okay, perfect. We will open the City of Bishop City Council meeting for Monday, June 22nd, 2020. And may we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Mahovey?
Here.
Councilmember Ellis? Councilmember Ellis, you're muted.
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello?
Here.
Mayor Smith?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Anybody have any comments on items that are not calendared on our agenda this evening? Robin, did we receive any public comment that wanted to be read?
No public comments received.
Okay. Just a reminder to people that they can call in, right? Email in. They can let us know if they have public comments, anything on the agenda, and you'd like to receive those if you can up until 2 p.m. before the meeting, right?
Right, and then during the meeting, we can receive public comments through our public comments at cityofbishop.com.
Okay, perfect. During the meeting.
Yes.
All right, so we will move on to our closed session for the evening conference with labor negotiators, and we will be back for our regular meeting at our regular start time at 6 p.m. So we'll see you all then.
Okay, thank you.
Robin, you'll be sending us to the breakout room?
Yes.
That's better than the witch.
How do you know?
Experience.
Everyone back?
There.
Oh, she is. Robin, you're muted.
Can I go ahead and close the breakout room?
Yes. Lori, you were muted.
Nothing to report, right, Dean?
Direction was given to staff.
Oh, yeah. That one.
Robin, do we have any department heads joining us via Zoom?
Hold 1 second. Yes, is the answer. Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once.
Be careful.
I know. Hold on, Tony, okay? Okay. Everybody's done texting me. I am back on track. So you can hear me in the meeting, right, Tony? Okay. I'll hang up. Okay. I'm going to turn on the mics, everyone. We're going to be allowing people to come in. Tony, can you admit everyone? Okay, YouTube is still recording us live right now with mics live. We're starting to record again on Zoom, and I think we're all good here. I'm going to go ahead and start Granicus now. Okay, and are you ready, Frida? Okay, Frida's here too, so we're all set. Thank you. You can begin.
Okay, perfect. We're back in open session of the Bishop City Council meeting for June 22nd, 2020. Our invocation this evening will be given by Pastor Chris Costello of the Oasis of Grace Church here in Bishop. And our Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Councilmember Mohove. If everybody would please stand.
Can I invite you to pray with me? Father God, I thank you for giving us your son. I thank you, Lord, for this beautiful city that we live in. I thank you, Lord, for the resilience of our people and for how we've weathered this pandemic. Thank you for your grace on so many people. I ask, Lord, that tonight as we would talk about the city and its businesses recovering, and as we hear what things that are going on, that you would allow us to have thankful hearts for all that you've done. Would you give us wisdom, Lord, in moving ahead from this point in time to continue to build a city that is not only fair, but has opportunity for people to thrive and to just be whole, Father, to be fulfilled. And I pray, Lord, that you would help us to not miss things, to see people who have been marginalized, people who have been left out. And Lord, that we would be a city that really is open and loving to anyone who lives here and who would come here. I ask all this in Jesus' name.
Please remain standing and face the closest flag to you. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. May we have roll call, please, Robin?
Councilmember Mahovey,
Here.
Councilmember Ellis.
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have public comment available. If anybody has a comment to make that's not calendared on our agenda this evening. Robin, have we received anything not on the agenda?
No
No?
public, nope.
We can receive public comment at City Hall or over the telephone or by email. We also can receive comment on items on the agenda throughout the meeting by going to, Robin?
Public comment at cityofbishop.com.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. And report on actions taken in closed session is simply direction was given to our staff. On to our department head reports. Our Fire Chief Joe Dell has been excused this evening, dismissed. So we'll head on to our Police Chief, Mr. Ted Steck, please.
Hey, very good. Could someone give me a thumbs up? I'm trying a new platform here. Make sure you can hear me. Thanks, Stephen. Okay, very good. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I had a great meeting last week with School Superintendent Katie Polker. We discussed the SRO program, which is still on track to start in August. We also discussed traffic-related issues around the schools, looking for ways to keep traffic moving, such as various drop-off zones, perhaps staggered start times and more. Katie's staff will be meeting with Bishop PD staff soon to talk about those traffic-related challenges and to see if we can smooth things out a little bit. Next, a number of us participated in the Caltrans Adopt a Highway kickoff last week. The program had been suspended due to COVID-19, but is now open. It's good to see the local Caltrans employees and support staff who help keep our highways clean and safe in Bishop. We spent a bit of time cleaning up Highway 6 just north of Y Road. And last, our state peace officer standards and training regional rep stopped by last week for the yearly audit. This involves an inspection of our pre-employment background files and a discussion on training records. We again passed, no corrective notices were given. This illustrates that BPD has been following the law, policy, and best practices when hiring police officers, dispatchers, and providing training. The beginning process involves the extensive personal background check, psychological, and medical screening. We also had a long discussion about post preparing for any changes in training guidelines or mandates. And we were ensured that all agencies in California will have access to that training. We have a very good relationship with Post and our representatives, so I have no fear on that. Overall, optimistic meeting, all was good. That's all I have tonight, unless any of you have any questions for me.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Chief?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our Public Works Director, Destin Deshawn, please.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. First off, I'd like to probably let you guys know, if you haven't seen it, Kmart is making progress on the parking lot and the landscaping over there. Nice to see the weeds are starting to go away. Landscaping, the irrigation's turned back on, so the grass is turning green. Nice to see that part of town looking normal again. Next, Joseph's Market is, if anybody has noticed, is earnestly making some progress on their building. The owners are excited to get going, and they are making honest progress now. I've been working a lot with the consultant on the Spruce Hanby sidewalks job. We have a lot more job than we have budget, put it that way. So we're trying to deliver a project that will be very useful and that Caltrans and everybody will buy off on. I think we're there and hope to go out to bid in the next couple of weeks. What else? We have our first JPA meeting of the Bishop Wastewater Authority on Tuesday, June 30th at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's exciting to get there bright and early so everybody's fresh. And then lastly, lead and copper testing. I think everyone on the council got asked to, if you haven't already or participated in the past, we've asked if you will participate in the future, plus 15 other houses. It's a big endeavor. It gathers a lot of information for the EPA on lead and copper in the water system. And these tests are for your home. So you're going to find out a lot about your home plumbing this way. Fortunately, in the past, it's mostly non-detectable in all the houses in Bishop. But that's all I have, unless you have any questions of me.
Anybody have anything for Destin? That's great news about Joseph's. That's really
Yes,
fun. Yeah. And Kmart also. Okay, moving on to Community Services Manager Dan McElroy, please.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up or yeah. Thank you. First off, let me start with our pool this evening. Our pool is now open for a limited basis, including swim team, lap swim, water aerobics, and then of course our swim lessons, of which we've sold 72 lessons last week and are basically pretty full at this point. As we go through, that'll be a 2 to 1 ratio with an instructor as per the county guidelines that have been set up. Next, I'll move on to our summer camps. Our summer camps remain full. Our first one started off slow, but our next couple camps are going to be full with 30 to 32 kids in each one. This camp right now, we are doing a sports camp, of course, socially distanced, so that is always a challenge. And then I personally am doing the fly tying and the fly session of the camp. So I'm having a lot of fun teaching fly lessons.
Mhm.
And then next, we got the approval from the county to move forward with opening our gym at City Hall. We will be looking at doing, of course, limited numbers, but instructor to child ratio for gymnastics, as well as our aerobics classes that happen in there as well. Next, for the park, the park remains a very, very busy place. It is the hub of the city, as you guys know. A lot of visitors to the area right now. I'm just looking at it and saying every day's mule days right now. So it is challenging for us to keep up with everything that's going on. And it's a day-to-day operation, and we're happy to help wherever we can. And then lastly is just to let you guys know that Little League and some of our other associations have reached out to the county, and they're looking at starting practices with the okay from the county to do practices for Little League, soccer, and some other sports. So as we move through, the park just remains busier and busier, and we're pretty proud of it. So unless you guys have any questions or anything for me, we're good.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Anybody have anything for Dan? All righty. That's 2 to 1 on the swim lessons. That's a pretty nice lesson. That's almost private lessons.
Yeah, basically that's how we do our private lessons, and that's kind of what we're going to adhere to for the next, well, at least for this season. And it should be a great time for the kids. They should learn instead of in a group lesson. So exciting.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good value there. Okay,
Right.
we'll move on to our Associate Planner, Economic Development Coordinator, Elaine Kabala.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Everyone can hear me okay? Awesome, thank you. So I have an additional update on Kmart to Mr. Deshawn's update, which is that I spoke with the leaseholder last week, and they've procured professional brokers to begin aggressively marketing the space to bring in a new retailer. So they hired JLL, or Jones Lang LaSalle, which is a large multinational commercial broker. And I had a conversation with that team last week, talking to them about all the things about Bishop you might not see if you were just looking on the internet. So telling them about the airport expansion and our positive tourism trends and all those things. So hopefully we'll have some good news now that that building is being really actively marketed. Also wanted to let the council know that the Bishop Nursery is planning to reopen. They're going to do a soft parking lot open within the next couple of weeks. And then once their private road is finished being paved, they'll reopen the nursery. And they've been coordinating with Leslie Chapman at the county to make sure that that will all be compliant with all the COVID-19 regulations. We are having a planning commission meeting tomorrow, and the item concerns a proposal to put a 80-foot telecommunications tower on Bishop Well Site 2. And then finally, I just wanted to let the council know that work with the mixed use overlay and specific plan continues. It's going very well, and we're scheduling public input meetings for the week of July 20th. Are there any questions for me?
Anybody think for Elaine? Go ahead, Stephen.
I had a quick question, Elaine. The people the brokers who are looking to market that place, have you imparted on them that they should not even consider Vons Corporation as a leasing?
I did not. I did explain to them the history of Vons in this community. One of their questions was, why have you had an empty big box store in town for 20 years? So I gave them all of that history. They found that very helpful and enlightening. I didn't say anything explicit about a relationship with Vons, so thank you.
Yeah, good point. Okay.
Elaine,
Go ahead, Jim.
Elaine, do you have any update on the Tesla lot? I see the cars all over the place and still was wondering where that landed at.
I do not have an update on the Tesla lot, but we will look into it and we'll get back to the council with more information at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Jim, could I, Councilman Ellis, could I chime in on that? They are actually getting ready to start construction probably in about 2 weeks. Their plan is around the 1st of July. They've just been delayed by COVID, but they are fully ready, submitted plans and permitted.
Okay, that's what I want. I just make sure it didn't fall off the chart somehow.
Perfect. You guys are full of good news tonight. Okay, anything else? We'll move on. If we have him back, we'll move on to our city administrator, Mr. Ron Phillips.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I apologize for losing connection. First of all, I'd just like to thank the department heads and all the employees for the great work they're doing under difficult circumstances these days. They continue to move ahead and make progress, and I'm very appreciative of their efforts. One thing I want to mention is to recognize High Country Lumber. We were negotiating with them to buy a used man lift to use in tree trimming and a lot of other things that we do. And then the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and we told them we really couldn't afford to move ahead at this point, and they made the very generous offer to donate that lift to the city.
Wow.
I want to express our appreciation to them for that generous offer, and it's going to make a big difference in what we can accomplish without having to spend money on that piece of equipment.
Wow, that's wonderful. They are very generous people, very generous business. All right, thank you, Ron. Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Anybody have anything else for Ron right now? Okay, then we will move on to item number 12 on our agenda is Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau update. Tawny, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry,
Okay,
second to unmute.
okay, thank you. I think everybody's had an opportunity to read your report. So if you have anything that you want to comment or add or highlight for us.
So yeah, it's just in summary, the micro grants that were given out to the area businesses, thanks to the generosity of several donors and foundations, was really, really well received. There is a possibility that we may have a second round of funding, working with some different options to have some more money available, but we'll keep you posted on that. The virtual job fair that we did a few weeks ago was well received. In fact, we're going to do another one on July 15th. So people, we just planned that today, or set the date for that today. Good news, yeah, fish planting was done last Thursday. The first cooperative load of 1,200 fish went in up at Bishop Creek Canyon. So things are going good in that respect. One thing I did forget to note on my report is that we recently held our chamber board elections, and we're pleased to welcome a new board member that has not served with us before, and that is Dina Davenport Conway, representing Lux Salon. So we'll get a news release out with everybody's details, but we're excited to welcome Dina aboard.
All righty, great. Anything else, Tawny?
No, I thank you for the opportunity, but you know, you can always give us a call or email us if you have any questions month to month. So if something comes up in between, feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you very much. Did anybody have any questions or comments for Tawny?
I just had a quick question. Is the Visitors Bureau still closed?
So we are virtually open. So we are answering telephone calls as the best that we can keep up. We are answering emails daily. We are not open to walk-in traffic just yet. Working out the logistics of that. We are planning to open when we can out on the front porch. So we'll have, we won't be able to be open 7 days a week, but at least a couple of days a week, probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the mornings, to give visitor information. We have delivered extra supply of all of our visitor brochures to all of our lodging partners, and we keep a display of brochures outside, and those are going quickly. So we'll keep you posted. You know, it's kind of slow go. We want to make sure that our staff is safe and that we can keep our guests safe. And we're also operating with budget constraints because we did, you know, when everything happened, we laid off all of our visitor center hosts, and our budget doesn't really look like we're going to be able to bring them back for quite some time. So we're virtually open. We're doing the best we can. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some kind of live service.
Tawny, can you speak to the hotel occupancy, what it's looking like?
So for the month of April, the average was 38.3%. And last year, April was 68 or 69%. I take that back. I'm speaking about May. So May this year was 38.3%. And last year, for the month average was 68.6. June Let me see if I can just pull up a June report real quick. We do get weekly reports. They're coming in a little slower, like everything is because of COVID. See if my most recent June report shows month to date, June 1 through 13 at 61%. So, nowhere near where we were last year at 78%. And the average daily rate is down almost $3 per room. So, while it's not as bad as I think we might have predicted, it's certainly not where it was this time last year. And one thing I learned, something we need to be really watchful for is the folks that are coming now, according to the travel industry experts, are what they call early adopters. So while we do have campgrounds and hotels and things open, the governor still has not lifted the stay-at-home order. So these folks tend to be more risk takers, more rule breakers, early adopters. And so we have to be careful not to be fooled that our tourism economy is just going to rebound. And these early adopters are somewhere between maybe 5 and 10% of the overall traveling public. So somewhere between 90 and 95% are still sitting back at home watching to see what happens. So one of the things that's going to be very, very important for us moving forward, when travel resumes to somewhat normal patterns, is we need to make sure that our community is positioned as a place that is really safe, really healthy, really taking extra precautions for cleanliness, because that is going to be top of mind for the consumers that may return to travel like in the late summer and fall. So that's a long answer, Chris, but something worth noting.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Tawny, in your report, you had mentioned that Inyo County Health and Human Services could get face masks for businesses that requested it. And one thing I've noticed working with the public that's now visiting is, and maybe this is prior to Newsom's mandate that he issued last week, is they'll walk in and they'll see at the sign at our store that says, face mask required, and they'll do this, thinking that their t-shirt is a face mask. And we just give out face masks, and that will then help them just have one when they're walking around town. But I think maybe if we could figure out a way to have a face mask be like any sort of like dispenser, like you put in a dime and you can get a face mask, or if businesses could just be handing them out, because it just makes us all so much safer if everyone is wearing them, and the shortage of masks are no longer there. You can, buy them anywhere. And I'm sure in bulk, you could get them. I mean, I can find them for 40 cents a mask. I'm sure you can get them for even less if you buy them in bigger quantities. But I think that our community and maybe our tourist economy, we need to make face masks as prevalent as any other kind of free thing you have, like toilet paper in a public restroom, or, it just needs to be something that's a common thing that isn't hard to get, and it can just be one of those really inexpensive disposable face masks. Because I think if people know, Bishop takes this seriously, and everyone, they have face masks everywhere, I know I'll feel more comfortable with people coming in, and, it's no big deal. But if you don't catch them, right, my salesperson's, in the back, and they walk in and they've been roaming around the store for a minute or two without a face mask, that puts everyone at risk. Apparently the COVID, if you sneeze, it just hangs out in the air for a little while. So maybe we could all brainstorm together on a way to just have face masks everywhere for people when they're in our community.
So I think that is an excellent idea. The county did purchase a very large supply of the disposable surgical, the blue paper ones, and then we also received a pretty good sized supply of white cotton reusable ones that we are to just give them out. So we still have some more. I know that the county partnered with the Rotary Club, and the Rotary Club right now is going into all communities, Bishop, Big Pine, Independence, Lone Pine, Death Valley, and delivering signage and the free masks. So it won't be enough to get people through the entire summer with these free masks, but it's designed to be kind of a starter pack for businesses while they acquire some on their own. But yeah, and I don't know, there's probably maybe some federal funding available to cities and counties that can help with these kinds of things, you know, to pay for more if we need to do that. But yeah, just passing them out like they're free can really go a long way, I think.
You know, like we do with doggy poop bags.
Right,
Have a
exactly.
dispenser.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we can look into, somebody and staff.
And we're starting a new social media campaign that is designed to, I'm just going to say normalize. I hate the new normal because nothing is normal anymore. But to make it more, I guess, just socially acceptable, normalize the face covering. So some of our, so, you know, all of the messaging about face covering so far has come from the government, right? It's either come from the state or the county level. And there are people that seem to be just opposed to it because they don't want the government telling them something else they have to do. So if we can have a conversation more business to business, more peer to peer, you know, one of the things that we would like to say to people is, let's work together to keep Bishop open, right? Because if we can prevent the spread of this, we can keep the stores open. And, you know, fact is, if we don't, we won't have to wait for the government to come back and shut things down. Karen, if 3 of your employees get sick in your store, you're going to be shut down. You know, if people get sick at the bakery's going to be shut down. We don't have to wait for the government. So we're going to start trying to do more like peer-to-peer, business-to-business, kind of normalizing the wash, cover, distance concepts. But I think people will start accepting just because they're getting used to it, kind of.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much, Connie.
Thank you for the opportunity it's nice to see everybody.
Okay, we'll move on to our consent calendar, and items in the consent calendar are considered routine, and we act on them with one motion. We are pulling item number 10 for the council's information, item number 10 off the consent calendar temporarily. That'll be coming back later on. So anybody have any questions or comments? Consent calendar, how about any public?
Sorry.
Go ahead,
Please.
Stephen.
I was going to say I move we approve the consent calendar with the removal of item A10.
Madam Mayor, was there any public comment on the consent calendar?
Robin?
No public comments have been made.
Okay, perfect. And a second on Stephen's motion, anybody?
I'll second.
Thank you. And the vote, please?
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All righty, thank you very much. Our one and only new business item this evening is Eastern Sierra Community Services District Clark Wing lease agreement. And I believe that's going to be going to Community Services. Is that going to be Dan handling that?
I don't have the staff report in front of me. I thought Ron was going to handle it tonight. I'm sorry.
I'll handle it, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
This is an extension of the lease agreement we have with the Community Services District. And they have asked that instead of an increase of 3% a year, that the council consider making that increase subject to the CPI. I told them that I was reluctant to do that, but that I would bring it to the council for your information and action. So you have two options, either to approve it as written with a 3% increase per year, or to approve it with a CPI increase each year, which we'll have to determine before renewing it each year with them.
okay, anybody have any questions or comments regarding this item?
In my discussions with Ron, one of the things he was speaking with me about is the difficulty of always checking that index and figuring out, the lease amount based on that, and how that changes, and that at times may actually make it more expensive for them than our 3% increase. As you see, he gave out some information from Stan Smith about kind of the going rate for rental space in the city. And it seems to me that we're, giving them a good facility for a fair price, and, they have use of our bathrooms and our parking and all that. So I know that they have quite a few more connections than the city does with their water and sewer. And, I know they're like everybody else trying to save money, but I think the 3% increase is fair. And they're looking at a 10-year lease. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, anybody else? Any comments or questions?
I
Robin?
would agree with Chris, just the, what Chris said, and then on top of it, just the having to notify them every year of the new rate is just, more work, and we could just keep things simple.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Robin, do we have any public comment on this?
No more public comments made.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody ready to make a motion on this then?
I can make a motion to approve the 10-year lease agreement with the Eastern Sierra Community Service District as written.
I'll second.
Was
That's
that,
fine.
I heard Jim Ellis?
Yeah, Jim's good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And the vote, please, Robin?
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll move on to future agenda items. Does anybody have anything you want to add to the list that we already have?
Not at this time for me.
Nothing.
Jim or Chris?
Nothing for me.
Okay, then we'll move on to our council and committee reports. Stephen, you want to start us out, please?
Sure. So the one main thing that I have to report is we did have an LTC meeting, the Local Transportation Commission meeting last week. And of particular interest to us in the area I mean, it was of course dire news with ESTA and their budget, but there are three things that I wanted to highlight. One, the airport is not coming until 2021. So there will be no commercial service in October 2020. They're now aiming for 2021. ESTA is not doing the Reds Meadow shuttle this summer. They don't think they would be able to observe any sort of distancing on that shuttle. If anybody who has ever actually been on the shuttle, they know that that's completely true, because it's always completely packed. So they're not doing the Red Meadow shuttle. And the other thing, and this is of particular interest to Destin, is Caltrans has secured funding from the state to do a sidewalk project. So they're doing this project around Mahogany Smoked Meats to make it ADA compliant, but they've secured extra funding to be able to complete a sidewalk on the south side of North Sierra Highway, all the way from kind of the Mahogany Smoked Meats area, or from Astorgas all the way around to Main Street by the fairgrounds. And I know that we have in the plan somewhere, I don't know exactly where because of COVID, to do the water line extension there. And this is covering the exact same area. So I want to make sure that we coordinate efforts there. And I also asked them to put a at least a crosswalk at the end of the path behind the Catholic Church, because a lot of people do use that as a means to get onto the dirt roads and head out Dixon area.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. That's great. I know we've been talking about that off and on for quite some time, so that's good to hear. Are you talking about a crosswalk in your mind going from the bike path across the highway that would go onto that canal road?
Yes.
So it would just be a painted, I mean, in your mind, it would just be a painted crosswalk?
You know, you can ask for the moon and then see what Caltrans ends up doing, but I actually requested for an actual light that you can push the button and it would turn the lights off and have the like traffic stop. To be fair, I did actually, and there was, somebody did throw around the idea of even doing a bridge overpass, but we know that that's not gonna happen.
Oh yeah, let's go for that, right?
I know.
Yeah,
So no, more than just paint it on the road.
Oh yeah, because that's 45-mile-an-hour speed limit in there.
Yeah, and I know you use that path every day. So.
Yeah. All righty, thank you, Stephen. Chris, do you have anything?
Well, Stephen stole all my thunder from the LTC meeting, but we do also have a JPA meeting coming up with the district, and I have still no news on any future OVGA meetings. We haven't had any information about that, so that's all.
Okay, thank you. How about Karen?
Jim can comment on the SCOG and ESTA meetings. I did not go because we were opening the gym that morning. And I just wanted to report on all the businesses in the city kind of opening their operations. And it is like opening a new business again. You have a whole standard operating procedure that, you know, everyone needs to adhere to. You want like to keep everyone safe, especially your employees. And so I just want to congratulate, you know, the city on running such an amazing kids program that my son has attended that keeps, you know, I feel very safe sending him there, and just all the businesses that are just doing everything they can to stay open and keep their customers coming, but also making everyone feel safe. It's like opening an entirely new business with all of the operations that you have to adhere to. And it's a big deal. So thank your, you know, camp counselors and your businesses that are doing their best to stay open, to keep the city alive, as well as keeping everyone safe. It's quite a task.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen. And I believe that leaves Jim, besides myself.
Yeah, I can touch just quickly on SCOG was pretty standard. Still moving forward with the JPA and trying to get everything kind of finished up on that, but it's getting closer. There's a lot of talk just about kind of what we talk about with between where we stand on all the COVID and the campground openings. Things are moving forward quickly. Seems to be a kind of a good correlation between Forest Services and BLMs and everyone's, and it extends all the way up into Yosemite and everywhere else. So everyone's coming together, starting to get on one page and trying to juggle all those pages. Yes, and I think Stephen right there touched on ESTA meeting, and the Reds Meadow it's kind of a difficult one for everyone to swallow because it is such a big component of the finance for ESTA, but it's just feasibly a mess trying to juggle that many people. And so it's sad to see that we can't have it, but there are some other options were thrown out for more of the private party, and we'll see if they can pick up some of the slack there. And then I had my grandfather's service on Saturday out at the Eastline Cemetery, and VFW and the Marine Corps did an amazing job. And I just want to say thank you. It was a funeral in COVID is somewhat strange, but at the same time, it was good to see a lot of people out, and amazing service. And thank you, VFW and U.S. Marines.
Jim, again, from all of us, sorry for your loss. I know your grandpa was a special man. And
Yeah.
Laura, I just remembered something. We heard from Chief Dale this morning. The plan for the Bishop Fireworks Show is still that it's a go. Some of you may have heard that the county is not allowing us to do it at the airport because they don't feel that we'll be able to keep people socially distanced. So the current plan is to find a location and not disclose it to the public for fear that they'll congregate close by and break those social distancing rules. So, but we're still actually searching for a suitable site to launch the show from and have it on the radio like usual, but have people watch the show from their homes. So that's where we stand on that.
Right. Okay, thank you, Chris. And I was, like Chief Steck mentioned earlier, I was also at the Adopt a Highway, kicking off the Adopt a Highway. So speaking of which, something for you all to think about, the section starting at the Y, approximately 2 miles going north on Highway 6 is, if you can believe it, adoptable right now. And so we kind of, they were joking during the meeting that it would only be natural for Inyo County to adopt that section of the highway because of their new offices going in right there. But I haven't heard that might happen. And just in case they're not willing to accept this wonderful opportunity, just throw it out there in case the city might be wanting some good PR and some healthy activity alongside the highway out there. Anyway, just something to think about. And that's it for this evening. So we will adjourn until Monday, July 13th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
You.
Good night.